Hello Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be looking at all three sides of it, so we'll look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story, so we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is really looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate for everyone, and they won't resonate for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate, if there is anything, and leave what does not. On that note, this whole reading can be reversed, especially if you're a cross-watcher. Just know that that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. All right, Gemini, let's jump on, and we're going to start with pulling overall energy for your side of this connection. Well, we'll pull the overall energy with oracle cards for your side, their side, and in between. And then we'll dive into tarot a little bit later in the reading. So let's start, Gemini, with your energy toward the person you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. Surrender. Triggered. With drama. Okay. You know, it's interesting in this card, kind of feels like you feel like you're drowning in this connection a little bit. I feel like you're kind of in this energy of like waving your white flag. And I mean, obviously you see that with the surrender card, but I don't necessarily mean this in the sense of like you giving up. Maybe you have, maybe you're just so over it. But I do feel like this triggered energy is something that's really been piling on in this connection. It feels like there have just been things that have been really poking at you, that have been really affecting you. And I feel like it's just like added up, and now you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know how much more I can take. I don't necessarily know what has happened, which obviously we've only pulled two cards so far, but I do feel with this drama card, like things have been very dramatic, very chaotic, very emotional. And I feel like this is something that has been kind of difficult for you to handle. I mean, I feel like it would be difficult for anyone to handle, not just you in particular, but anyone in this situation. So I definitely think that there's going to be some things to unpack here. Let's see what you're dealing with this person. This person's energy toward Gemini. Like this surrender card to me is just kind of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. It's kind of like, you're like, I want this to work. I love you and care about you, but like, I don't know what's going on. I can't take this. This person's energy toward Gemini. Dream come true with reciprocity. This person views you as a dream come true. But I feel like they struggle. Okay, yeah. Let me clarify this reciprocity card. This optimism with follow your heart. Okay. So it feels like they struggle to believe that like the feelings that you have for them are mutual. And I feel like that might seem crazy to you with how much you show up in this connection. But it feels like this person, it's like, this is, to me, this is like a fear. They're afraid to have optimism in this connection. They're afraid to follow their heart. It's like they're focused so much on like what could go wrong. It's like their insecurity is really affecting things here. But yet at the same time, I feel like they really do like see this connection as something that is very like holds a lot of potential. But yeah, it's like they fear that you don't feel the same way, even if you're like but I continue to, like, maybe have never expressed that either. But that might feel why, like for you, why it feels that no matter what you do, like maybe it feels like it's never enough, or this person is always kind of coming up with problems or something. Like they might crave that validation in some sense. What's going on in between this connection? This is complicated. Truth of the connection between Gemini and this person. It's like they don't, like they see this as too good to be true. It's really interesting. But I feel like you might also kind of have that too. Okay, unfinished business. So it feels like there's something unfinished here. There's something unfinished. Almost as if, well, okay, let me get one more here. With patience and shattered. So there is this unfinished business, to me, represents like unreached potential. And I feel like both people in this connection very much see the potential here. I mean, I do. I feel like both people, or at least at some point did see that potential. But then you have this shattered card. And it feels like what once felt like a dream come true is actually kind of become a little bit painful here. Now, this patience card, it kind of feels to me, Gemini, like your patience is actually running out. It feels like this has been something, it's like you've been patient with this person, you've been patient. Maybe you're aware that they have triggers, maybe you're aware that they have insecurities, but it just feels like those are so much like at the wheel here that it's like, and I feel like that's why you're like, I don't know how much more I can take. You know, having empathy for somebody's behavior and like understanding where they're coming from, but then and tolerating their behavior are two very different things, right? Like we can have empathy, we can understand why someone is the way they are, why they act the way that they do, or why they do the things that they do, whatever. But that doesn't mean that we need to tolerate or bear the burden of that behavior. And I don't know what's going on with this person, especially when it comes to like this dream come true energy, is it just feels like there's this lack of either being able, well, if they're unable to accept the love that you have to give because they struggle to believe that they're lovable or good enough, they're definitely not going to reciprocate it. So then you're going to be the one constantly showing up in this connection to make it work, or to make, to be what you need to be for this person or whatever, to make sure they're good or their feelings are good. But then it feels like the reason that you are feeling like you're drowning is because it's become a burden, because not only are you dealing with your feelings, but you're also bearing this person's too. And it's hard because I do feel like this person has feelings for you. Like that's not, that they definitely do. But it's more complicated than that. Because I feel like you just got to a point where you were like, I don't know if I can take this anymore. Like, I don't know. Okay. Overall theme of this reading for Gemini, I'm curious. I'm interested to dive into tarot now. What does Gemini need to know about this connection? It's like unreached potential here. But potential, we can find potential anywhere, right? And what potential in a connection ultimately means is like if both people kind of reach their own potential, and all you're in control of is your own individual potential. You're not, in control of whether or not somebody kind of taps into theirs or does the healing and growth necessary to tap into theirs. And sometimes it can be really frustrating and triggering when you feel like you're bearing the burden of a connection because you're the one doing the healing and growth and like working on yourself or trying to make things work. And the other person is just kind of like in the connection, but not like doing the work. Overall theme of this reading for Gemini. I like when the cards turn all the way around or hit the table. That didn't feel very intentional. That did though. Detour. You have the you don't think of me. The closure. So it feels like, yeah, it's like this connection was heading down a road. And it seemed like things were going good. It seemed like you were both on the same page. You both had these strong feelings for each other. The emotions were, equal. But then something happened. Like something redirected this connection. Something got this connection off course. And I feel like it has to do with the fact that this person struggles to receive love. Now, that doesn't mean they weren't taking energy. Just in terms of like actually believing that they're lovable and being able to like receive that love and reciprocate it, I feel like is something that they really struggled with. And I feel like now it's hard for you because you still see that this connection had so much potential, but I feel like you don't know how much more of it you can take. With this closure card, it's almost like you want to find, like make peace with it or something. This is complicated, Gemini. Give me a second to unpack all of this. All right, Gemini's side of this connection, triggered with surrender. Gemini's energy toward the person they are dealing with. Sometimes readings come across super clear, and sometimes it's like a puzzle that I feel like I'm just like piece by piece trying to put together. And this is one of those that it's just like a piece by piece thing. There you are. Eight of Wands in reverse, Hangman in reverse, Five of Swords, Queen of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, Five of Cups. Seven of Pentacles here. So you were, maybe even are, I don't know, depending on where you're at in the timeline of this, incredibly committed to this connection. And I feel like you were trying so hard to get this person to reciprocate or like open up or like be vulnerable in some way. And I think that for a while, maybe it seemed like things were heading down that path. But it feels like you're currently stuck in this confusion of wondering, or maybe were for a while, wondering why you couldn't get this person to be whatever potential you saw in them. And I think that for a while, because with the Five of Swords and the Hangman in reverse, there's this energy of really holding on to this connection. I feel like you were holding on to this connection because there was a lot of love here. You had a lot of hope and desire for things to be what you felt that they could be. And I feel like that was reciprocated, at least the terms of like with this dream come true, like that potential that I feel like you both saw in this, I feel like that was mutual. But it feels like you were the one trying to like drag the connection to that potential. And I feel like eventually you gave and you gave and you showed up and you did what you could, but then eventually your cup ran dry. And you were like, I no longer have the energy to show up in the way that I needed and or that you need me to. And I feel like you almost kind of lost yourself here. a little bit. And I don't think that maybe you didn't even realize it was happening. Because with the Knight of Pentacles, I feel like it was slow. It was a slow and steady progression to this Five of Cups, to the disappointment, the sad. Because I feel like you're currently in a state of like grief or sadness from this connection. And I can certainly understand why. But I also feel at the same time, there's almost this energy of taking it personally, which it's a personal connection. We're going to take personal connections personally, but I feel like so much of why you're feeling triggered is because you're feeling almost as if you weren't good enough, as if you didn't have what you needed to have in order for this person to choose you, commit to you, open up to you, be what you need, whatever kind of fits your story. And I feel like that's kind of keeping you stuck, or like kind of keeping you in a place here from being able to find your peace with this closure, I guess. And I feel like this is the perfect, analogy for this. It's like you were swimming, trying to hold up you and this connection until eventually you were drowning. Till eventually it's like you couldn't keep up with it, like with what this connection needed to be sustained. It's like your cup eventually was dry. You had given so much and you had shown up in a way that this person needed for so long while receiving very little in return. That jumped off and I was able to grab it with my hand. That was kind of funny. You couldn't see that, was off camera, and I feel like now you're either trying to make sense of it or you're wondering why you weren't enough, or what you had to give, or your love wasn't enough. And I feel like that is the number one thing that you're needing to address, is that what if everything you had to give was enough? And what if you're just dealing with someone who doesn't have the capacity, and I felt this from the beginning, to accept that love and reciprocate it in a healthy way? Because it feels like they struggle to believe that they are deserving of what you have to give. It's almost like they saw this as too good to be true and then sabotaged it. That's what it feels like. They straight up sabotaged this connection. I mean, I haven't even pulled cards for it yet, but this person's energy toward Gemini. And I feel like it's like you were trying to like break down their walls, or to like even like make this work. And it's just like they were working against you the whole time. But what's interesting is it's not that they didn't want it. It's not that they didn't want it. They saw this as a dream come true. This person's energy toward Gemini. What does Gemini need to know about this person's energy toward? I knew you were going to see the Nine of Pentacles. I knew it. It's like you aligned with their desires. I mean, I knew I was going to see it because you have this dream come true card, but then this Five of Wands. So why did they resist it? Why did they push it away? Literally, Knight of Wands in reverse, self-sabotage. I knew we were going to see it. So here's what you need. Well, okay, let me get a little bit more on the Seven of Cups and Five of Wands before I start to kind of read into the energy a little bit more here. The Eight of Wands in reverse, you had that too. Their insecurities oh my goodness, yeah. So it feels like because they desired this just as much as you. I mean, the emotions were there. I feel like it was not an unrequited thing. It was very much what they wanted. But with this Seven of Cups here, it's almost like that was so overwhelming for them. Like they didn't know what to do with that. Now, here's what's interesting. some details on kind of the human psyche, is that when we are used to not having what we desire, and we haven't done the work on ourselves to believe that we are worthy and deserving of what it is that we desire, and what we desire appears into our life, we will sabotage it away. Because we have these inner feelings of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, whatever the case is. So we will actually resist it. And this happens a lot in relationships with people who haven't done the work to learn to love themselves or believe that they are worthy and deserving of love, is they will either search for love in the wrong people, or they will push love away in the right people. And it feels like this connection came into their life and it was just this dream come true kind of energy. Oh my gosh, this is everything I want. I can't believe it. And then they were like, so I'm going to ruin it. Because it's like, here's the thing is, it's kind of that whole concept of when people are afraid of failure, they often won't even start because they would rather just control not having what it is that they want than try and fail, you know? So it's almost like they were so... It's like they couldn't figure out like why you loved them or why you cared about them or why you were willing to work so hard to make this work. And that's a them problem. That's an insecurity problem. That's a lack of confidence problem. That is their need to work on themselves and learn to love themselves. And I feel like you know this. I feel like you know this, Gemini, but I feel like you were trying to help them. I feel like you saw that, and I feel like you loved them and you wanted to love them into loving themselves. And I feel like what that ended up doing was biting you in the butt. Because with this Five of Wands here, this person had this inner war with themselves. The Five of Wands is often inner resistance that manifests outwardly, whether it's in our relationships or in our circumstances. So this person had this inner resistance to this connection. And it's not something that I feel like they were consciously aware of. I feel like it's something that they maybe even don't fully understand. And I feel like it's probably something they even regret, but maybe don't want to develop the awareness of that because they don't want to face those feelings. So it feels like this person, it's like you showed up everything that they've ever wanted and they straight up sabotaged it. Maybe it happened, I feel like it happened over time based on the Knight of Pentacles that we saw here, just kind of a slow and steady thing, but maybe it happened over time and then something big happened. Because I talked about how you guys were going down a certain path and then all of a sudden, like, there was this, like, it like deterred from the path. I feel like things were progressing, but then as this person's insecurities started to come up, which in relationships, no matter what kind of relationships, our insecurities are going to come up. Our insecurities and our self-doubts and our past traumas, and we have to have the level of awareness to be able to work through those things in real time. If we don't, we're going to put it on our partner. We're going to make it their problem. We're going to make it their fault. It's going to be their burden. And I feel like that's what happened, is like you were handling, all that you were feeling, because I feel like the way that this person acted probably started making you feel insecure, and so you're trying to work through your feelings while also trying to keep space and make room and work through theirs too. And it feels like because again, you were doing all this work and all this effort, and they were actively working against you, not because they didn't desire it, but because they didn't have what they needed within them to be able to understand their feelings enough to address them. So they sabotaged. And I think that that's what we have to remember. And one of the best things my therapist ever taught me is that we cannot take somebody's capacity to love personally. We cannot take somebody's inability to love us well personally. Because if we do, what we're essentially doing, because people can only love other people to the extent that they love themselves. They can only give and receive love to the extent that they give and receive love to themselves. So if somebody is struggling to love themselves well, then they are not going to be able to receive the love that you have to give or reciprocate it. And that has nothing to do with the value of what you have to give. It has everything to do with their need for healing and growth. Now, on the flip side, there's a need to look at this as a mirror, right? Because all of our relationships are a mirror. So trying to look at this from this place of, because anytime we're trying to save, fix, or heal somebody else, there's a part of us that we are trying to save, fix, or heal through them. So when we're in that space, that allows us to open ourselves up for deeper healing and a deeper understanding of what drew us to the connection in the first place, so that we can heal and can get to a place of peace with it, and ultimately make sure that we attract healthier, connections in the future, whether it's in this person or not. But I think that the number one thing that you need to know is that there is nothing you could have done to stop this person from sabotaging this connection. In fact, I feel like you tried your hardest not to get this person to sabotage this connection, and they did it anyway. And I think that don't look at that as a reflection of like, this is your fault, or you should have been better, tried harder, because it's not. And maybe you do know that, but I do feel like this has been a very triggering experience for you. I feel like that's probably like even surface level of what this is, but I also feel like there's a deeper purpose for all of this, that you will start to uncover as you continue to move forward with like your healing process. And between this connection, you have unfinished business with Shattered. We're going to hop on over to the extended, diving deeper into this connection, and then ending it, trying to provide the messages of the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self, and then ending it with an advice card. Before I hop on over to the extended, I want to reiterate that I am hosting a workshop called Reclaiming Your Power to Manifest the Life That You Desire on January 3rd at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's a Friday, and it will be a live workshop over Zoom. However, if you cannot make that event live, or you live in a different time zone, you can, if you sign up for the workshop, everyone who signs up will receive a recording to it the next day. So if you can't attend live, the only thing you'll be missing out on is the last 20 to 30 minutes will be a Q&A session. You'll still have access to that in the recording, but obviously you will not be present to ask questions if you have them. But I will always be available via email if you have any questions after. The information for that is in the description box below underneath the links to the extended. It will take you to another video on my channel where I'm announcing the workshop. In that description box is all the information that you need to know. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment or shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, thank you so much, Gemini, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. Bye, Gemini.